Well, I think the definition for success, for us at least, every year was to survive one more year. And it was around, trying to be survive financially one more year, and then have the grapes survive, be able to grow them and see if we could solve the climatic issues about how do you grow grapes here, because we couldn't just take what they had done in California or what they had done in Europe and just directly apply it, because there's enough differences that we had to experiment and learn. And so there was always the risk every year that you have a total crop failure and you might go broke.
I think the hardest part was more from the business side of thing. Having had the experience from the business side of things and trying to figure out what the best moves would be, we would have some pretty interesting conversations at times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Ron is very much, don't worry about it, it'll be fine. And I'm sitting there looking at the numbers going, how's this going to be fine?
Yeah.
I think it is very difficult to get started in the grape business to begin with, and possibly even more difficult to create a winery that was livable, that was possible to support you. But a lot of people are still doing it, and it seems to always be somebody who had the dream.
But there's no turning back. Once you start it, there's no turning back. So when we ran out of money, I went and raised more money, because you can't let it go, and you really either have to see it to fruition, or the problem is you're going to lose a lot of money. And so you have to keep pointing forward and make it work.
We're just farmers, so the marketing part of it is probably our biggest learning curve.
It's a lot of work. It's not, they say the glory of and the romance of being in the wine industry. Well, it is work. Mm-hmm. It is a lot of work. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't fall in your lap.
It's a constant challenge to stay on top of things. And so we have a really good research program. We have a lot of great scientists, and we have an industry that's fully engaged, which is, I think, the real key.
But it's just taking each challenge one step at a time and going that way. The world's getting smaller and smaller, so from gaining information and trying to choose varietals and trying to get the right equipment and all of that, it's definitely getting easier and easier. I don't think I would have wanted to try to do this 100 years ago.
I think the challenge is to manage the growth, continue to bring in new blood who are enthusiastic about making wine in Oregon, and being able to market it.
I like the challenge of a cooler vintage. I know that's kind of what we call those winemaker vintages, because we end up liking the end product more because it's brighter and more acidic than some of the warmer vintages. The warmer vintages conversely end up being the vintages that a lot of consumers prefer. So, and they're easier. So a lot of winemakers probably like those because they can sell the wines really well and they can have a fairly easy harvest. But I actually prefer the ones that are a little bit cooler because I like the wines that come out of them. And that would be a challenge because oftentimes with coolness in Oregon comes a lot of rain. So, doing your pick decisions at an appropriate time and making sure the fruit that you put in the fermenters is really clean. Those are the challenges that I like in making a great wine in a vintage that maybe not everybody makes a great wine in.
It's in many senses even more difficult now. The marketing aspects are much more difficult than they were 15 years ago, and they're up for it. They are taking on new vineyards, new varieties. They have to deal with markets that we never thought of.
We are at a pivot point, and we need to press on the gas, and we need to accelerate it, and we need to figure out what makes Oregon so special and be able to figure out the best way to tell that story. And if we fail in doing that, we're going to become just another wine region.
It was raw, you know. I mean, people were.
What does that mean?
Well, it was people were learning about farming. Who knew in the global wine world, or even in the U.S., where Oregon was even at? And so, back in those days, you couldn't give away a bottle of Pinot Noir in California. They're like, Oregon makes wine? And so it was, for everybody, it was, we used to have on the Oregon Wine Advisory Board, we'd go and we'd do these dog and pony shows, and all the winemakers would get together and we'd pour for the public, like in San Francisco, and try and do educational things to get people familiar with the fact that we existed.
Yeah, you can show them on the map.
Right, yeah, we did all this PR, all this material that we could give to people, and yeah, it was challenging. It was challenging to sell the wine.